Okay. Tell us a bit about yourself. How did you become a content creator in the field you're in? Okay, so my name's Richard Harris. I'm a life coach, and I became a content creator in the coaching field, in the personal development field, because originally I wanted customers. These days, I do content creation because I freaking love it, and I love the way that I can help people around the world become the best version of themselves and to get these, what I think are good ideas across to a global audience. So when and how did you find out about LBRY? Okay, I found out about LBRY from that guy's video, Cut to the Batman music, where they showed YouTube up for their sinful ways. And I realised it was probably a good time to switch over. That's how I found out. What were your first impressions of LBRY, be honest? Yeah, so the first impressions of LBRY in the summer of 2019 were like, I loved the philosophy of it. So the philosophy and the guiding decentralized thing was 10 out of 10. And to me, they answered all of the wrongdoings that YouTube presented. Maybe there's a way to corrupt it, but I can't see a way that LBRY can be corrupted. And it will be uncorruptible in all the ways that the tech centralized control is corrupted. But in summer, it was lacking basic features. I think LBRY still lacks some basic features, but it only really just got to a state where it's like actually quite user-friendly and able to deliver on all the basic stuff a video platform should deliver on. What do you consider the strongest points of LBRY? Okay, without a shadow of a doubt, the strongest points of the LBRY are that it's not going to be corrupted the way YouTube is. It's highly unlikely, if not impossible, for LBRY to censor, to cajole and corrupt and curate political thought the way that YouTube rather hopes to. Look, I didn't know what the fucking Ellen show was until like 2 months ago, right? I'm an English guy that doesn't even own a TV in the UK. Why the hell should I know the Ellen show? Because YouTube is trying to stuff the frickin' Ellen show down my face. Why? Because they've got some bloody narrative that they want to push. They've got these mainstream media people that aren't getting the view times anymore, and so they're like, right, what we're gonna do? Well, we better make sure that people like Richard in the UK hear frickin' Ellen, otherwise we'll lose the narrative. So I don't know if I've lost my train of thought, but like one of the reasons why I love LBRY is because, like, look, when I was a kid, when I was like 16, 17, 18, we were lied into an Iraq war, and 1 million people died, and we're still reeling from the bloody horrors that war created. It was part of the shadow government lying and just creating bullshit. That's part that did it. But also it's partly the mainstream media weaving a lie that everyone ate wholesale. So one of the reasons why I love LBRY is we have a chance, we the people of planet Earth have a chance to share good ideas and express each other in the closest thing I have seen to a meritocracy so far. And that is freaking awesome. What advantage over YouTube do you enjoy with LBRY? Okay, the advantages over YouTube that LBRY has are it's a freaking cool idea the way it's decentralized, so it's less likely to be corrupted. I love the cryptocurrency element of it. I think that's really fun. It's much, much more meritocratic than YouTube will be, because YouTube's a centralized authority. Every centralized authority ever, be it a company or a government, will get corrupted. It's a case of when, not if. And you're already seeing that with YouTube. Because of the decentralized nature of LBRY, maybe there's a way to corrupt that. I don't know what it is. Another advantage is there's a freaking cool community behind the scenes, because I hope this doesn't sound too pompous, but it's a platform for early adopters at the moment, and there tends to be quite a selection bias with getting quite geeky, really interesting, really positive kind of people in there. I'm really enjoying that about LBRY at the moment. What improvements would you like to see make LBRY a better platform for you? So YouTube's good for a lot of reasons. They're very, very good at a lot of the basic functionality stuff, and that means the basic functionality for viewers, and it also means like a really good YouTube studio kind of thing for us content creators. So yes, YouTube censors people and demonetizes people and around like that. That's on the bad side, but the good side is the basic features of the platform are really well polished. I would like to see LBRY match or exceed these features. I'd also like to see an option for advertising on LBRY. When the platform's ready for it, I think advertising money will just be a huge catalyst to speed up LBRY's evolutions. So that would make me very happy. If we could see like something similar to Google AdWords, where advertisers can very easily purchase views with their advertisement with content creators, I think that would be a great move for LBRY. When recommending LBRY to friends, family and colleagues, what USPs do you use? Okay, so I do recommend it to my friends, families and colleagues, And to other content creators, I say, look, I think this is the future. YouTube is good now, but it's got a limited time period. There's what left? 2 years before we're all rounded up and put into concentration camps, unless we're the frickin' Ellen show or some shit mainstream narrative. I say, it's fun, it's really fun. I genuinely think it's gonna be really big in the future. I think the cryptocurrency is really underpriced, and I wish I had more available money to put investments this year, because I would love to put another 4 or 5 grand into LBRY coin. I think it's gonna be a hell of a good investment in a couple of years' time. LBRY, as far as I can tell, is where it's gonna save the internet. It's where content creation is gonna be in the future. LBRY is the best shot that we have for a meritocratic content creation social media system. It's the best shot that we have, that the most talented people who are making the content that their audience most want to see can get their message out there without the politics, the fiddling that you get with a centralized authority like governments, or certainly like the mainstream media, and certainly like YouTube. LBRY is an open source grassroots community project. What have been your experience with the community? Yeah, my experience with the LBRY community has been one of the most positive experiences I have had with any platform ever in my life. As I've got to know some of the content creators and people behind the scenes, I know them to be extremely positive, extremely interesting, deep, open-minded, and really sincere people that actually believe in the vision and kind of want to bring better content to the world. They're very friendly, and I've very much enjoyed that. Do you think communities like LBRY Social help with LBRY? Yeah, I have loved LBRY. It's been a lot of fun, and I think it's a great business opportunity for me to be on there. My interest in LBRY has exponentially improved since I got onto LBRY Social and started chatting with some of the other content creators on there. Found them to be an immensely warm, generous, good-hearted bunch of people. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. What do you think we can do to build a larger and stronger community? Well, communities, like organizations, like countries, and like individuals, are fractal. So what you see on one level of analysis, you see in all. But the first impressions I have of how you can build a better, stronger, larger LBRY community is just double down on the principles that make LBRY good. Keep it committed to freedom of speech, keep it meritocratic, keep it interesting and capable of outdoing the current incumbents, and you'll draw to you people who resonate with that vision. I think that will work. Will you miss YouTube when LBRY bankrupts next year? YouTube was great, but I really don't approve of the way they've been censoring and demonetizing and playing political favorites. There's a very dark road to go down. YouTube's not as bad as Facebook, who are just monstrous, and they're not as bad as the Soviet Union or true bad actors like that, but they're going that way. My hope for YouTube is that they see the error in their ways and they double down on providing a good service for the content creators and the advertisers and the viewers, and stop trying to play politics, which is, I think, where they lost their way. I'm nearly certain they're not going to do that, and I think their predisposition to cooking the books and messing around with the algorithm and trying to program people surreptitiously, which is pretty dark, I think that will continue month on month on month. And for that reason, I'm very excited and very proud to have put my lot in with the LBRY community. LBRY will smash YouTube, it's just a question of when, not if. On a serious note, do you think LBRY can become a major contender as a serious media sharing platform? Look, I have absolutely no doubt that barring some crazy unforeseen thing, LBRY will contend in a very serious way with YouTube. We may even be able to beat them. The more YouTube messes around with the algorithm and starts putting the frickin' Ellen show in front of the content creators that the audience actually wants to see, which is going to piss the advertisers off because they're not going to get the views anymore. People are going to be switching off. And the more the content creators are going to be having their videos demonetized and having their stuff censorship and ranked down because they don't peddle a pre-packaged woke Silicon Valley narrative, the more that stuff happens, the more people are going to go to a platform that like LBRY, where the freedom of speech and the stuff that made YouTube good in the early days actually flourishes. From a tech point of view, with the cryptocurrency and the decentralized part of it, I think there's technology elements there that means that LBRY genuinely has a real intrinsic advantage over YouTube. The interesting thing is, I think the more corrupt YouTube is, the more they start to tinker with the algorithm and demonetize and censor, the more it will push people to LBRY. There are other platforms that I know content creators are going to. BitChute is one example. Of all the other platforms that are options for YouTube, I really think LBRY is the #1 contender. And that's one of the other USPs that I say to other content creators. I'm like, look, It's got some catching up to do with YouTube, but I think it's the best shot we've got at beating them. Okay, LBRY is a powerful free speech tool. How important do you think it will become in the future? Yeah, so without a shadow of a doubt, there are elements within our culture, the Western culture, which really want to see freedom of speech destroyed. People that believe that their right to be offended is more important than your right to freedom of speech, or people that think their political points of view are so important, so precious, and so ineffably sublime that you should not question them and you should not give contrary points of view. Needless to say, those are the points of view of a tyrant, and I think for this reason I think LBRY's come at a great time, because freedom of speech is under threat in the West. It has been under threat since this ridiculous war on terror started in the Bush era, and for that reason I think LBRY's a really important tool to keep our culture healthy. Do you think Jeremy Kauffman, God bless you Jeremy Kauffman, the CEO and founder of LBRY, will seek refuge in the Ecuadorian embassy in London if LBRY gets too powerful and more mainstream? That's a really good question. I do think there are elements within our culture, within the shadow government. Yeah, fuck it, I am a conspiracy theorist. There are elements within the shadow government, within the current political and financial elite of the world, that really don't like it, that the narrative at some point in the last decade has been lost. They're not going to be able to get us to buy into these bullshit foreign wars like the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan. And they're not going to get us to willingly give away our freedoms if they lose the narrative. And the global elite have lost the narrative. Most people think that the mainstream media is bullshit. People laugh at this ridiculous story we're being pushed for Jeffrey Epstein. Most people think that we're being pushed and lied to for a war in Iran. Most people that you ask think September 11th was an inside job. Most people that you ask believe Bob Lazar's story and they've got UFOs in Area 51 and that the government is covering up the UFO sightings. The mainstream's lost the narrative. And like a caged tiger, I think the various elements of the global elite are rather intimidated by losing the media and therefore the narrative, and will probably play some dirty tricks to shut down people like Jeremy, who, as far as I can tell, is a pretty awesome guy and is using his considerable talents to do something that he believes in and thinks is actually going to help the world. Final thoughts. In one sentence, how would you sum up LBRY? The most exciting video content social media platform I have seen. Is there anything else you would like to add that we didn't cover? I don't know, I'm really happy to be a member of the LBRY community. I love it here, I love the philosophy of this place, I love the people from the community that I talk to, I love the supportive nature of it, I love the energy of this place, and let's kick some f***ing ass, shall we? And do some good for this culture.